back to another class of our course about the complete introduction to Microsoft Excel, the use of VBA or VBA for Microsoft Excel. So in today's class, we are still going to talk about macros and different types of macros that exist. And basically what I want to do today is really putting everything that we have just learned into application and create a few macros that can be really useful for you guys, well, basically in your use of Excel. And at the same time, you are going to learn what exactly you can do with macros. So as I said in the past few classes, what macros exactly does? So basically it will automate tasks that normally takes you few steps to make. So let's say, for example, we have this table right here, and I don't know, I want to, for example, take the letter A and simply add color to the letter A and make it a little bit bigger. So basically I will be able to do it in a few steps, but I can also use a macro. So let's just use as an example the letter A. So let's say, for example, for my letter A, I want to grow the size of my letter A, put it at 14, put it in bold, change the color, so basically make the whole cell yellow and the text cell right here in red. So basically, as you can see, it took me more than one step. And also add this, let's say it this way. So basically it took me way more than one step. But what I can do as well is using a macro to be able to automate all those steps, because if I want to do the same thing for all the letters right here, I won't be able, because once again I can only do this with the letter. I did it only with the letter A. Yes, I can select everything, but let's say, for example, I want to do something different for the letter B, for the letter F, for the letter G, for example. So it's easier sometimes to use the macros. So basically what we'll do at first is pretty simple. We're just going to practice this macro that I just showed you. So if we try it out, it's pretty simple. We are going to go here and use relative references, because I want to be able to do this everywhere. And we're going to record the macro. So we'll call it, I don't know, we'll call it A. And we'll click on OK. So if we run our macro, what we need to do is pretty simple. First of all, we want to change the size of our letter. So it was at 14, we're going to put it at 18. We want to add some color. We want to add this thing right here, and we want to make it in bold. So that's it. That's all we wanted to do. Oh, wanted to add also red color to it. So that's it. Then the next thing, we just come back in our developer and stop recording our macro. So right now we have our macro, that is the letter A. So basically if I want to do the exact same thing to my other letters, so it's pretty simple. I simply go here, select my macro A, and click on run. And as you can see, the same thing will automatically be done with the letter C. I want to do the same thing for the letter K. Well, pretty simple. I can go here and simply run it. And once again, don't forget one thing. You guys can basically, well, if you, right now I use the macro right here, I click and I run it this way. But you guys can use a shortcut keys. So basically you can use Control and select Control A, Control B, Control C. You can decide your shortcut key. And basically by having a shortcut key, if you need to do this in many places, instead of having to do all the 5 steps, you can just run the shortcut key. So basically that's for all the basics. So just bringing it back to normal. Taking away the color. Here we go. All right. So right now everything is fine. So what we're going to do right now, we are going basically to practice everything that we have just learned in the past few classes. So how we are going to do this, so I propose you to create a small table that looks something like this. So pretty simple, we'll have letters, we'll have dates, we'll have percentage, we'll have a number, and we are also going to do a test using the if function. So basically, if you guys are not familiar with the if function, it's not a big deal because it's not part of the course, but I'm gonna show it to you well, in this course as well, so you learn a little bit more. So pretty simple. First thing that I'll ask you guys to do is simply write down all the letters of the alphabet, so basically A, B, C until Z. In the dates part, what we are going to do, we are going to generate a random number. So we are going to write down the random function, so rand between, and we are going to generate a random number between 1 and let's say 30,000. So why exactly 30,000? So you'll see a little bit later. In this case right here, so we have percentage. Pretty simple. We are going to use the random function. So basically it's going to be rand and just the rand function. So basically it's going to generate a number between 0 and 1. And finally for the number, we can just generate a random number. So here rand between and rand between. Here we go. We will generate a random number between 1 and 25. Or let's say 1 and 50. It's gonna be better. All right. So right now we have everything that we need. There we go. All right, great. So right now that we have everything that we need, what we'll do, we'll just select everything and just drag it until down there. So we have our dates, we have our percentage, we have our numbers. All right. So next step, let's say for example, we are at the date right here. So our date doesn't make sense. It's just a number. And let's say we need to, we need to convert some of those dates into dates, and we want to change also their size and everything. So how exactly we can do this? So pretty simple. We're going to use a macro on one of those dates to be able to change, everything about it. So pretty simple. To change the date of this element, what steps we need to take. So pretty simple. We just need to go here in general and simply select the date. So basically it's going to be a long date. And if we open it up like this, as you can see, it's going to be Sunday, October 6th, 1929. Each time you refresh, the date will change, which is pretty cool. All right. So basically what we want to do is not applying it to everything that we have here, but just to a few of those dates, a few dates that we select. We want to have a complete date for just a few of those. So not only this, we also want to add color to it. So let's say we want to add the yellow color. We want to make it bold, and we want to add this type of table. So something that is like this. So pretty simple. Each time we refresh it, it's gonna change automatically. So how exactly do we do this? So as you guys saw, we had a few steps that we need to accomplish before achieving this. So pretty simple. First of all, we needed to change the date. Then we needed to add a color. Then we needed to add the bold. And then if you guys want to change also the size of the text, you can do it as well. So we'll try it out. So basically, if you guys wanted to do this on some of those dates, it's going to take you 5 steps each time, which takes a lot of time. This is why we're going to create a macro. So this is exactly what we're going to do right now. So pretty simple. We're going to take this date right here. Right, we're gonna bring it to general. Great, so let's start. All right, so first step that we want to do is simply go back to our developer tab and use relative references. Then we are going to record our macro. So we're clicking here, and here we are going to add date. So for those of you who want to try the shortcut key, you can add a shortcut key. So basically, if you want to click Control A to be able to generate the macro, you can do it as well, just like for practice purposes. I'm not gonna do it personally, but if you guys want to do it, you can do it. So we'll call this macro date, and we'll click on OK. Here we go. There. Okay, we'll try again. Right, we'll keep it macro 27. It's gonna be easier. All right, so basically what exactly we need to do at first. So we come back here. First step will be changing the type of our text. So basically here what we need a date. So basically a long date. We're going to select this one right here. So we have our long date. Next step, what we want to do is make it bold. So we'll click on bold. Then make the size of our text a little bit bigger. Add some color to it. And that's it. So basically everything works perfectly right now. So we have everything that we need. If you guys want to add a bit of coloration to your text, you can do it as well. So when it's all done, you just stop recording your macro. So we'll just make it bigger to be able to see the date. So here we go. We have our date right here. Oh, we forgot one step, which is adding this thing right here. But once again, it's not a big deal. So right now, let's say I want to run this macro right here. So pretty simple. What I will do is simply going here and select my macro, which would be macro 27, and I'll just run it. And as you can see, everything works perfectly fine. So I'm coming back here and I run it. So as you can see, everything is perfect. So everything works fine, and I can do it whatever I want. All right, so next thing, we're going back to, coming to our percentages right here. So what we want to do in this case is pretty simple. So we want to change this sum of those into percentages. So basically we want to generate, we want to have this case, for example, in the format of a percentage. So basically it's 0.995, it's going to be 99.5%. And this is exactly what we want to do. So basically, to be able to do this, it's pretty simple. We simply need to click right here. So let's say we want to do the same thing, but instead of the yellow color, we want to make it green. So basically, we're going to use the green color instead. So what we're going to do is pretty much the same thing. We're going to create a macro for our, well, for some of those elements. So we'll come back in our developer tab. We're going to use relative reference because once again, what we want to do is use our macros everywhere. So pretty simple. And then what we're going to do, we are going to record our macro and we'll call it percentage. Just click on OK. And then what we want to do is simply create our macro. So first step is pretty simple, is putting it into percentage. So we can click on the button right here or just select the percentage there. So here it is. Then next step is pretty simple, changing the color. So putting it into green. Then next step, adding this thing right here, making the text bold, and maybe changing the size of our text. So here we go, we have all our macro ready. So we're coming back here, we stop recording, and we can try our macro. So let's try it right there. Pretty simple how exactly we run our macro. So we just go on our macros, we have our percentage, and we run it. And as you can see, everything works fine. So if I run my percentage macro right here, it's gonna look like this. If I run my date macro, which in my case is macro 27, it's gonna become yellow and with a bold text. So if I try it out, as you can see, it's yellow with a bold text. But we have a problem because once again, it works with dates. So basically it's gonna generate a date that doesn't make sense. So we'll run our percentage macro. Here we go. All right, great. So last thing that I want to try out is creating a function inside of a macro. So basically this is exactly what we are going to do. So here we are going to use an if function. And what exactly I want to do, so basically each time we refresh, the numbers here will change. So I want to create a really simple if function. So what exactly it does? So if we read this function, it's pretty simple. So if, in this case, h5, which is this case right here, is greater than 20, I want my cell to be yes. Otherwise, I want my cell to be no. So it's pretty simple to understand and pretty straight to the point. And let's say I want to test some of my cells. So what I can do is basically rewrite the whole function for each cell that I want to test. But I don't want to do this. What I want to do is pretty simple. I want to be able to do it in one step. Yes, I can copy and paste. But once again, for the purpose of this course, I want to use macros. So this is exactly what I will do. So we'll start with the first step right here. It bothers me a little bit. So basically we'll start with we'll do it right there. So pretty simple. What I want to do right now is simply using a relative reference at first, then recording macro, and we'll call it test1. So pretty simple. Right now what I will do is simply trying what I want to do. So I'll write down equal, and then I write down my function. So if, in this case, this function right here is greater than 20, I want Excel to return yes. So really important, don't forget those parentheses inside of your yes. Otherwise, I want Excel to return no. Once again, pretty simple. And then I can run everything. So in this case, it's yes because it's greater than 20. So that's it. I have my macro ready. I can stop recording. Then what I want to do is simply run my macro at another place. So test1, it's right there. I can run it. And as you can see, it works pretty fine. So everything works perfectly. And also, since it's a relative reference, it will automatically do the test for the cell H14. It's not gonna do this test for the cell that is right here, which is pretty cool. So I can run my test anywhere I want. So as you can see, it's pretty simple to understand and pretty simple. Well, I'm not talking about the functions part, but I'm talking about the macro part. It's pretty simple to do. Another tip that I can give you guys when you are working with macros, when you're recording your macro, don't click everywhere. So don't click everywhere. What's gonna happen, it's that all those things will be recorded as well. So you will have a lot of chances to have bugs or errors inside of your macros. This is usually what happens when people click everywhere when they're recording their macros. So go straight to the point. So basically you click only on the cells that you guys will use. So basically that's the simplest way to not have errors when you guys are working with macros. So right now, basically this class was really for practicing everything that we have just learned, and to also show you what you guys can do with macros and how you can work with macros on a day-to-day basis when you guys are working with Excel. So that's it for this class, guys, and see you all in our next class.